Hello everyone. The title of today's episode is Extracting Knowledge from New Sources of Reality. And what that really means is that when we look at the understanding of man, it is walking in a certain template. What that means is just like how I am seeing a world, you are seeing a world as well. And so if we are different forms of intelligence, life forms just walking around, to look at what the purpose of life is one where we can see if we just go based on our individual consideration, we are being ignorant. But if we learn from our world, we begin to see that contemplation never needed to make man tremor. True understanding is pure, absolute, and clear. And there is no intervention because the being is constantly looking at life and his intentions are just becoming reality. So you're not looking at life to do anything with it. You're just aware of experience, and this is a certain projection of who you are. Then you begin to see it's as if there are many dimensions to something where man can infinitely give dimension to. You see? So when the creative phenomena changes your display, you begin to see that the symbols in your reality shift. Just like how that handle in the radar screen turned, in those old school radar screens. Similarly, every moment with every breath, man is becoming aware of a newfound sense of life. You're present, and so your reality is present as well. And so now you have created a relationship that is you, and also a relationship that is your reality's consideration. What that means is you don't have just ideas on who you are, you also have ideas on the world around you, and that's kind of profound. It implies something. Knowledge is a very interesting phenomenon because you are at first working with how you are considering your positioning. But afterwards, when you see that you really don't know anything, you kind of ease out of those fixated senses of self, which you have to be someone tomorrow for work, and you just kind of become more situated in a moment kind of intelligence. So if you're seeing everybody around you going based on thought intelligence, based on a thinker that can't be found intelligence, that is one method. But there are also beings who just go by the intelligence of their moment. So it doesn't matter where life positions them, they are comfortable with the experience that is found within their moment of being. And so the phenomena of location is how an existential glimpse is seeing itself here. Now, depending on who you are, if you begin learning from your solitude and just learning from what silence means, you begin to see that your thoughts stop spinning so much. You come down to a peaceful modality where you look at the grass, you sit there, and your humility is that of non-interpretation. But at the same time, there is interpretation going on. It's just how you are consciously approaching it. Because when you look at consciousness, there is a huge importance of being very sincere. Do not seek spiritual ideas that are not in your experience, or even believe them, because then you are you're not aware of who you are exactly here, Because there's many realities afloat, and every human being has as many complex senses of being as the leaves on a tree, And imagine all those senses of being constantly changing with the seasons of how this space continuum is positioning us. When I understood existential responsibility, that was a lesson that did not come at first. At first, I had no idea what those words could ever mean, But then I saw that existential responsibility is that moment where you're paying attention more to your state of being rather than the state of the character who's stuck in a certain story. What that means is in one way I can open my eyes and we're all characters in a story and we have no idea what this great air intelligence is, and in another I can open my eyes where it was as if they were never open. Do you see? But internally there is presence, because presence is the next thing. So if you simply saw a human being, and if you saw a human being become interested of what this phenomena is, the minute it is given self-awareness, it is also given an individuality which is allowed to work with the world. So the minute man chose himself not to just be the whole cosmos, but to be a segmentation of it in regards to, oh, you know, my name's Bob, because Bob is a segmentation of the cosmos into a certain form. We kind of see that it is beyond how we wanted to take things, because there is no one to receive in that manner. Have you noticed sometimes when you do something wrong, and of course it's a natural phenomenon in the human experience, where you do something wrong, and you try to fix it, but you're trying to fix it to compensate it, make the person feel better, rather than actually seeing what they're bothered about, you know? It's kind of like that attitude where you think money can buy everything, so you're not really acknowledging the problem of the person that is there. Because there's many realities that are giving identity to man as he has his attention on that form. What that means is, before we even get into judgments and this guy is different from this guy and many world problems in that manner in regards to human beings, let us just look at the being. And when you look at the being, you are an observance of form. Then as you communicate, it becomes more real that you're solidified. Because some of the most advanced communicators on this plane of existence knew that communication could change their world. And the quality of your communication suggests your freedom. What that means is, I've seen many teachers come up and they have wisdom, they have knowledge in regards to an intellectual basis and even very great ideas, but their presence does not seem to be comfortable. It's as if that person who's on stage very nervous talking about, you know, the newest theories is perhaps not realizing that if you were certain about what you had found, why would there be a single tremor? Why would there be nervousness? Why would there be a fear from an audience when you have found the newest truth? It is because many of our truths are being constructed by a sense of beliefs, because we're assuming to be thinkers. But if I ask you, where is the thinker? It seems that you can't find it, because the only thing you find is your whole moment of being alive. For an intermediary was a bridge that was never here for its individual sense. And extracting knowledge is, in a sense, seeing your self-reflective quality in things and how a lot of your opinions on stuff is your opinions, and then choosing to also see beyond those structures. For life is not something that can be touched for too long without being aware of the untouched. Many beings who have done perhaps some of the greatest works here, it was not just them, it was their reception in how in their internal experience they were the presence of a world. Because ideology is becoming more than just something we read in the dictionary. Ideology is turning into how man is, throughout this whole time, has been evolving into greater observance of combinations of sensory perception. And as you're observing sensory perception, now Mr. Within is suggesting, as your individual consciousness becomes aware of a collective consciousness, you see that you did not need to orient things in ways that did not make sense. And really, when you begin to see reality as a temporal template, in a sense, you are not bothered by external change, for all movement and noise externally is kept internally in stillness and silence. And this stillness and silence is not even stillness and silence. It is an observance of a transcendental hue. And this knowing is what is making you move beyond your ideology. So if you as a human being are suddenly seeing that it's, don't think you are having a midlife crisis, rather see it that you are getting a push by life to get a new set of ideas on your ideas. And you're getting this experientially. And so there are many reasons for man to be grateful, because there are some people who sit at the dinner table and are just grateful for the food there. And they just say, oh, thanks. You know? And there are some beings who recognize that their thank you is one where it has an omnipotent voice, where you see, as you have sat on the table, you are not just grateful for how that plate is keeping the food there and all the sciences that are suggesting why your food is not floating in the air, but you're also being grateful for the value of the design of your moment. So many beings who go into states of where they find themselves very internally peaceful, and when I say this, that means they don't have a lot of opinions, they're just here and they're peaceful. That is a good state, that is a fascinating state, but you must begin to then see how you want to increase that which your attention is increasing every moment of your life. Mr.Within would like to say that sometimes experiencing information and what we're simply receiving as a world, in certain approaches originating from within you as an intention to be something here, you begin to see that the fabric and the quality of how reality behaves changes towards you. And what that really means is you're no longer seeking a higher self. Through the awareness of your being, you are the vision of your highest self. And so explore with the clarity of really taking an initiative that is contributing to the health of your world. What that means is, you're not a health, just because, let's say you go to the gym and you, let's say, have a healthy diet, and you are, how would I say, in a sense, let's say like this, even though you go to the gym, and you have, let's say, financial abundance, and you get so much stuff, and let's say you eat the right foods, and you get the right amount of teachings, and everything becomes perfect for you, you will begin to see that a perfection that doesn't change is no perfection at all. Your perfection is in the exploration of the experiencer that is within this life. Then, all forms within your memory, all abstractions, will become playfully allowed to flow. What that means is you don't say, gosh, is my heart possessed? Some people use the word possession and it's crazy. Are you saying, oh, no, it's not. It's naturally going by itself. And so there's a point in human psychology where it's, as it looks and begins to trust the world that it had not trusted before, aspects of the world begin communicating with it. What that means, once you trust someone enough to be with them, you are in the presence of their communication and you receive, and there's an exchange of understanding. As if you are standing under the views of that being, and that being is standing under the views, and that's why there's an acceptance to see. As the world turns, know all is turning. No name is chained to conception masked in imagery. For there is no path other than now. All that you need to know in your allowance to be has already been done, and so you know. But you know in while basking in the humility of your unknown knowing much more. And so your intelligence is constantly realigning itself in its most excited existential exploration. And you shall see that not only will you know, but your whole moment of being and experience will also know as well. That means that you won't just see yourself doing well, you will see everything doing well. You know, you begin to see that mankind, regardless of how much, you know, he had abundance and, you know, that gym membership and, you know, that bank account, if you see the world around you is not healthy, you're still not a healthy human being. Because that means nobody's looking, or in a sense, trying to envision omnisciently enough to see what the health of the world is. Because as you do, you reach the edge of your plane of conception, and what that means is you question your own truth, and so there is no truth in a moment of being. But all is true. Do not think the cathedral walls have been a waste. For all structures of man, including his identity and his thoughts and everything that we can see, belongs to a being. That is calibrated towards and with their infinite nature. What that means is you thought abstraction was a flaw and you had to measure things. It's the opposite. You need to run into the forest to see that there are greater mountains. Much blessings and namaste.